Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Feel Good Factor. I'm Susmita Veganosaurus and I'm so glad you're here today. Earlier, I was reading Julia Cameron's book, The Complete Artist's Way. I want to read an excerpt from that book to you. Fame is not the same as success, and in our true souls, we know that. We know and have felt success at the end of a good day's work. But fame, it's addictive and it always leaves us hungry. Fame, the desire to attain it, the desire to hold on to it, can produce the how am I doing syndrome. The question is not, is the work going well? The question is, how does it look to them? The point of work is the work. Fame interferes with that perception. The book is for artists, but not just artists. It's for everybody who needs to tap into our creative flow, our creative energy, which basically is everybody, because everybody does need to tap into our creative energy, align with it as much as possible in whatever way possible. Julia wrote the book in 2007. That was just before social media was a thing. That Facebook also didn't really exist back then, or rather it wasn't well known back then. So at that point of time, when she wrote about it, she refers to things like people's magazines and alumni books and stuff like that, where people, and she asks us to read through that and test how we feel. And she asks us to see if reading about somebody's success, some famous person, reading all that, does that make us feel like we are nothing? A lower sense of self-worth. And so she shows how this whole desire for fame, how negatively it can impact us. So she gives all these different ways for us to test it. But if she knew about social media, if social media had come out back then, Facebook first, yes, but also Instagram, where it's the worst place for validation, right? Like it's the place where everybody is watching what everyone else is doing. Everybody wants to be like somebody else, achieve what somebody else has. They want to be the first, the best, the most well known. Fame and validation, that the thing, even if you're not the most well known, even if you have a small following on the account and you post regularly, just the thing of, oh, okay, what are people going to think, what are they going to say, am I going to get likes, am I going to get comments, and then going back to check those likes and comments, all these horribly unhealthy habits. She would have definitely spoken about it. Back when she spoke about fame, Julia was mainly talking about the limited exposure people got to fame. But now it's unlimited. It's really, really scary. That quest for, instead of the word fame, let's use the word validation here. It's so unhealthy and it is rampant. It is everywhere. I've spoken about, getting away from Instagram for a while, taking a break, not comparing ourselves to others, a lot on the podcast. On episode 72 of the podcast, when that was the exact time that I returned to podcasting after a break for quite some time. And since then, I've been so consistent and posting. I'm publishing an episode every single week. So on episode 22, on episode 72, I spoke about how my Instagram break changed my life and why I recommend it to everybody. So go back and listen to that episode number 72. One of the reasons is this: not caring about what others think before we create anything, do anything, not looking through the lens of our phone, even metaphorically speaking, because we're thinking about that, right? Like, oh, if I cook something, okay, how do I plate it? How do I photograph it? What are people going to think about it? What they're going to say? If I want to create something, say a poem, a painting, when I post a picture of this, what will people say? And that thought, no matter how small it is, in some people it's big and all consuming, but in many cases it may be a small tiny thought, but it is still a pollution in our heads, a pollution to our work and our creativity, because it stops us from really going into that creative flow and allowing whatever needs to come, whatever needs to form, get created in its own way, the way it's meant to be in this world. Because we're always hesitating, stopping, editing ourselves. With writing, editing, like literally editing, but also in all other forms of creation, in all other forms of work, we are always questioning ourselves if we are looking for fame, if we are looking for validation as an end result to that work. Once we let go of the validation, once we let go of that quest for fame and start enjoying the work for itself, the reward of the work, the reward of the creation is having done that work itself, having created, having tapped into flow state. If we focus on that, then there's so much power and beauty and joy and fulfillment that results out of it. If you want to understand more about flow state, then listen to episode 95. It's 5 tips to tap into flow state. So you'll be able to understand what flow state is better and also ways to tap into it. Well, that's about it. I saw that quote. I read that chapter about fame in Julia's book, and I'm like, oh my god, I have to talk about this today. These are things we know, but we need to be reminded again and again, and through different people's words, different ways of saying it, right? Each author, each person has a different way of expressing it, and we need to hear it and read it to be able to really assimilate that into our thought process. If you enjoyed this episode of the Feel Good Factor, then you're going to love my free newsletter, The Feel Good Tribe. Go to veganosaurus.com/newsletter. That is veganosaurus.com/newsletter and sign up. The link is in the show notes. I really look forward to talking to you again next week. All right, take care. Bye.